All right, dude. Episode 58 of the One Way Out podcast today, joined by Hurting Murphy. Why don't you introduce yourself, dude?
What's going on, everybody? My name is Forrest. I go by Hurting Murphy. I'm a musician. I'm a music producer. That's where the name Hurting Murphy comes from. But recently I've been a little bit more outspoken publicly about political beliefs and sort of like identitarian politics and just sort of taking an interest in, I guess, like a pro-white sort of American average guy approach to what's going on in the world. So yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
What pulled you into that line of thinking that made you start going that route?
That's a good question. There's sort of a similar trajectory that I've noticed. When I started producing music, I got really into dubstep. And what I noticed is a lot of the dubstep dudes were young white men of a certain age bracket that previously were metalheads. So there's like this like temperamental train of like evolution that people go through in terms of like their interests. And I think the same thing happens kind of politically, because 2, 3, 4 years ago, I was just devout libertarian, colorblind meritocracy, free market, fiscally conservative, socially liberal, that kind of thing. So really, I'm a reactionary, just like all the major people are. Eric Arvol and Nick Fuentes and all these people, they're essentially reactionaries because I never really gave a shit about the fact that I was white for 2 reasons. One, because I tend to view people as individuals first. And the other reason is because we're sort of not taught to. Everyone looks out for the interests of them and their people, generally speaking. But white people in America and really in Europe don't do that. And it seems to be the case that whites are going extinct. And I don't want that to happen, So I've sort of taken an interest in the survival of the white race, which is not a scientific term, but you know what I mean when I say it. And yeah, it's not like a hateful thing. It's just I think white people ultimately built the West. Jews helped, but I think that like white European people are sort of like the substrate from which all of what we love about the West emerges from. And if they go extinct, like I think we will just become a third world country or something just not American anymore. And that's what I want to preserve.
You don't want other races and peoples to go extinct, or it's not like even, let's say, the Jews or whatever, any blacks, Asians, whatever. Like, you're not advocating like, oh, I wish those people just disappear. You just want your own people to flourish, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've never set out to like want people to go extinct, but I do think that it makes more sense if there's like genetic proximity with the people that you're living around, right? I think that people should collectivize and act in the interest of each other. I feel like every other nation in the world has countries for those people. You go to Japan, it's all Japanese people. You go to China, it's all Chinese people. You go to Africa, it's all Africans. And then where it's not Africans, there's enclaves of people that are only white people. And white people, when they do that, they get a really bad rap. And frankly, I think it's because we do it best. And then, they throw in the old adage, oh, well, if you want a whites only thing, you're just like a Hitler or whatever. And then you immediately import all of this like post World War II consensus propaganda into that, saying, well, if you are pro-white and you like white people and this, that, and the third, then you want to kill all Jews or something like that, which is completely incomprehensibly irrational. And I don't even really think that's what Hitler wanted, though I'm not going to defend Hitler. But yeah, I mean, no, I don't want anybody to suffer. Ultimately, I want people to flourish. But I think white people surviving would actually be to the best interest of everybody else as well. Not just me and my people, but for everyone, because there's a reason why everybody wants to live here.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And you said that like in this country, you're not taught to be, proud of your heritage as a white person or whatever. It's actually, I would say, even worse than that. You're demonized for doing so and saying like, they're the colonialists, they're the imperialists. They raped all these countries and took all the resources. They're the bad guys, essentially, in the history that we're taught, essentially.
Yeah, you're taught not to, right?
Correct. Yeah. And pay social quote unquote social punishments for doing that. You know,
Mhm.
labeled a racist or a jingoist, nationalist, blah blah blah, whatever label they throw at you.
Mhm.
I think that's absolutely right, dude. So how would you feel about me specifically? Because like my mother's from Iceland, which is you don't get much whiter than that. Blonde hair, blue eyed Icelandic woman. My father is his father is, you know, his family's been here since the Mayflower. But his mother is Chinese, first generation Chinese. So that makes me a quarter. My children, 12.5% or whatever, because their mother's German.
That was
But
gonna be my guess, is you were a quarter Asian of some sort.
yeah, East Asian, so Han Chinese, Northern Chinese. Yeah, so like I I've been going down this route in this podcast. You know, it's been a progression. Dude, I'm very similar to you. I was a member of the Libertarian Party, Big L, for a while. I was a state rep and all this stuff, and I'm a precinctman for the place that I live and active in the party. And then slowly I just realized that these fucking people are just like degenerates and they're just letting everything happen because everyone should be free to do what they want, even though you're being bred out of your population, culturally destroyed, all these things. And it just, I've become, I don't know what you want to call it, more of like a America first type person, I guess. But the racial aspect of it is kind of weird for me being, you know, a mixed race person.
Mhm.
But my children are white as hell.
Yep.
And my wife, well, ex-wife, we can get into that. I'm going to ask you why you think we let women vote. But um, yeah, dude. So I've been down that path, and I totally agree with you that it is a net negative for the world. If what do white people make up? Like 6%, 7% of the population?
It's between 6 and 10. Yeah, 6
6
and
and 10?
10, depending on what you consider a white person, because it is sort of subjective at a certain
Sure.
point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's a quickly diminishing figure.
Yeah. And that's like, I don't think that's by accident personally. I'm one of those kind of people that thinks that there is a concerted effort to kind of stomp them out for whatever reason. We can all put our theories out there. Post World War II, maybe Jewish propaganda, who knows, whatever. But I don't think that's a coincidence. So this this racial cultural thing that's going on in our country right now.
Yeah.
How do you see this going? Like the way the culture is now? Because like when you ask people what percentage of the world are white, they'll say shit like 40% or 60% and stuff.
I know.
Yeah, I watch a lot of your interviews. I don't know how you keep so cool talking to some of these people, man. Like,
I ask people all the time because, I mean, in America, whites are over 50%. I think it's close to 60 right now.
sure.
And again, it's like, I don't know if that's true. It could
Yeah.
very well not be true. But people think, oh yeah, they're 80%. I've heard people say 80% of the planet. I'm just like, first of all, these are people that aren't even considering, okay, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Everybody knows India and China is already billions of people. So they're just not really using their brains. But it kind of exemplifies the narrative that is just ingrained in us. And it's not even, no one really tells us to think this way. It's sort of gently suggested throughout all of, you know, Netflix and the way that our school curriculums were set up and the way that social sort of like the Overton window and it, you know, there was no 101 class on why you should hate white people, but everyone kind of does, you know.
Propaganda is subtle. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess to acknowledge you and what you said, what do I think of you? Well, first of all, I like Asian people. So even if you were 100% Asian, I don't know. I as a group, I find Asians impressive. Are you asking what do I think of like race mixing?
Well, I mean, because there are aspects in the America First Fuentes type movement. Or are you familiar with a man named Jared Taylor?
Oh yeah, very
American
familiar.
Renaissance. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
You know, this race realism stuff. Like, look, my whole argument about the country is America should be for Americans, but then you have to break down what does that mean? What is American? And then I think, I mean, a culturally homogenous country is very important to me. And I don't know how you get a culturally homogenous country with ethnically mixed countries. I don't know how you achieve that goal. So that's why I was asking you, like, people, just because they're mixed, but they're culturally like you, how would you feel about them being in your country? Because to me, that seems more important. But
100%. Yeah, because that's what I think about this all the time, by the way. It's sort of the difference between, okay, a colorblind meritocracy. It's not about genetics. It's not about culture. It's about the idea of the country. If everyone agrees, even if some guy from Pakistan and some dude from Africa and some lady from China, as long as they agree on the core principles of what constitutes America as an idea, they're Americans. I don't agree with that because I don't think that that's and those three hypothetical individuals very well could integrate into a society that works, right? I mean, I would view you as an American. I wouldn't even really know that you're Asian unless you sort of mentioned it, right? You sort of like blend into like the white sort of general cluster, I guess. But when it's different when you're talking about individual cases versus like what is the best way to structure a society. To me, I think a majority ethnic composition would make sense. I mean, that's how, I mean, you go to Japan, it's not 100% Japanese.
It's close.
But it's mostly Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
It's close. It's like, I think 95 to 97, something like that. It's overwhelmingly Japanese. And that's for a reason. And they've been that way for like, I don't even know how long, hundreds, 1,000 years.
And why is that viewed as good generally when you ask people, but when you say that about, like you said, white European countries, it somehow becomes bad, right?
That's exactly right. And it's like, I think that we could achieve that without doing genocide too. So people don't need to like throw that shit in there. I mean, here's the reality. I think that there's millions and there's tens of millions of people in this country that have to leave. Most of them are illegal.
We're working on it.
Oh yeah, I don't even know how many illegals there are. It might be like 50 million.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then those people are having babies. And I think that there's a good amount personally, this might not make me popular. There's a large number of first, second, and third generation immigrants that should be under heavy scrutiny. And I think we should be very, like, if I had absolute power, there would be a lot of people that would go. And it's nothing personal. I think that when you draw a hard line like that, you otherwise disqualify people that would have just blended into your society just fine. But at a certain point, it does become a matter of survival. If we let things go too far, America as we know it, there will be nothing to even preserve, like regardless of how radical we are. So I have no problem with people that are like mixed race or something like that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so in your opinion, like if you had the reins of power now and you see what's going on with the immigration system, you know, and the they call them mass deportations, but like, I think we're going to be aligned on this to a degree. It's not mass enough for me. And I'd be willing to do a lot, like you're saying. So like, hypothetically, you were in control of the executive branch and you had ICE, you know, all of DHS at your disposal. Would the removals look the way they look now, where they're just kind of hitting? No. I have a list of cities.
I think we need somebody to really put the hammer down because, and look, it's not going to be like, okay, I measure the width of your nose and phenotypically, if you're not 100% Anglo-Saxon, you get gassed or some shit like that. But it would be like, okay, you get in office. Like, I'm Hurdy Murphy, the fucking emperor of the United States. I deploy all U.S. military, all federal agencies, local police, National Guard, door to door, every single city, knock, knock, show me that you're a citizen. If you're not a legal citizen, you're getting in a bus and you're leaving the country. Like, goodbye. It's just that simple. And yes, it's not going to be pretty. Like, it's not pretty already, right? Like, a woman got shot in the face, like an American citizen got shot in the face for like defending. It's like, it's messy already, man. And it's like you said, it's barely happening. So I agree on that. So to me, it would be a rigorous teeth pulling. Everybody that's not a legal citizen, you got to go. And it's nothing personal. I would do my best as the emperor to avoid anybody getting hurt. And, you know, obviously no one likes when families are separated and stuff like that. But again, it becomes like, how long are we going to tolerate the sinking ship? Because we are sinking. So it would be that I would probably get rid of 40 million people right there.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I would just abolish the Civil Rights Act. I would just say that people should be allowed to freely pursue their racial destiny and act in accordance with what they believe. And look, there will be a bunch of white liberals that just keep living how they want to live, and that's fine. And there will be a bunch of not liberal white people that decide to take interest in their group. Like, you know, Eric Arville over in, I think he's in Arkansas, and he's creating a whites only community. That's illegal to do. He's doing it through like a certain way where it's a business and then people own shares. So there's kind of a loophole, but you can't legally discriminate racially. I think that you should be able to, you know?
Yeah.
And again, I don't believe in treating people without dignity. Anybody that fucking, like, I have tons of non-white friends. I like people. It's nothing personal, but you should be able to discriminate on those grounds in the same way that I would discriminate against a random person versus my brother. Why? Because he's my blood. It's not because he's better than anybody. I don't love my daughter because she happens to be better than everybody. I love her because she's my blood. And that to me should extend to like the more wide encompassing like racial demographic. And then you can discriminate individually, people that aren't white that I'm friends with or whatever. But as a general rule, people should be able to pursue that. And I think that would do a lot right there. I don't think that we're going to get every non-white person out of here. And then again, just to make the decision, like you said, what is a white person? Is it 100% English? Is it 75% European with 25% whatever admixture? Is it somewhere in between there? Someone would have to make that call if that were to be the case, if we were to establish like a pure ethno state. I don't think that's completely necessary. I think people should just be allowed to act in their own interests. And then once the Overton window is already shifting on that. So I do think whites, for the most part, are waking up.
Sure. Yeah. Freedom of association, I think, is, I mean, we got to bring that back. Used to be an American ideal, I think. Not so much anymore, because this country is a melting pot. That kind of goes against that narrative, right? If you have the freedom to be a melting pot or not. What age group are you in? Are you a millennial? Are you a Zoomer? What are you in?
I'm 30, so I think that makes me on the youngest end of millennial, if I'm not mistaken. 95.
I'm 39, so yeah, I think you're right there at the cutoff. Have you noticed the younger generation? I would say your early 20s. They've kind of gone pretty hard right, I think, especially the men. Let's say the men, but even some of the young women. But
sure,
the men have gone pretty hard right, and I think it is just a direct reaction to all this stuff that you're talking about.
They're way more racist than me, dude. They want, like, I see people. There's people out there that want way more than what I just described. You know.
Yeah. Well, I've been there at times, Dark. I've been like, I'm past the point of wanting them deported. But, after some of the stuff I've seen, you see that young, which, she was an immigrant, but, that Irina, the girl who got stabbed to death on the subway or whatever, and then Lake and Riley, all these people, you get dying at the hands of these people that aren't supposed to be here. And has you ever seen that? What's the mob movie where he's like, you guys got to leave, and then like they don't leave, and he's like, well, now you can't leave. It's kind of the feeling I get sometimes, and I'm like, as a libertarian,
I'm guessing you have a white wife and white kids, right?
Yes, correct.
So you have a stake in the outcome of white people.
Sure,
whether or not you consider yourself white. I mean, you now have a stake in that, and that's the thing. It's like people that don't have a stake in the nation can think whatever they want, but once you have a stake in the nation, it's like, I don't give a fuck what happens to me, but when I die, my lineage has to live here. And if they're a minority in a country and everyone hates that minority, I mean, you think it's going to look pretty for those people?
I mean, we're watching it happen in South Africa right now, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Rhodesia or whatever, Zimbabwe, whatever we call it now. We've seen it happen. What happens when the demographics switch, and I've been screaming this, and everyone's just, the response is like, you're just you're racist, or you're being extreme, or it's not really that big of a problem. But we have so many examples of like how, let's say, non-European, and even to a degree Europeans, but non-European groups treat minority groups.
Yes.
And whether that's good or not, do you want that to be you? Like that's a simple question, or your children, like you said. Yeah, I think it really, I talk about it a lot in the podcast, is like, what the stake you're talking about in America, what is it to be an American? What does that mean? Because I talk to a lot of people who just think, oh, I was born here. It's like, man, that's not enough for me, man.
Right. Well, that's right.
Yeah. That's why I kind of focus more on the cultural aspect. Are you culturally an American? Lesser to agree, although there's a correlation right between the race too, but like, are you culturally like me?
Right. Sure. Yeah. And there's variance even amongst Americans. Like you may like baseball and I don't, or you like apple pie and or whatever, but generally speaking, there is sort of like a consolidated net of interest and cultural expression and religious, association and stuff like that, which encompasses America. But the reason why I think you and I can't even sit here and directly describe what an American is speaks to the problem. It's not like we have blacks in the ghetto. We have immigrants from India coming here celebrating Diwali. We have Muslims in Dearborn. It's like, what the fuck is an American? It's all three of those. It's the average, and then you throw some whites and Asians in there, and it's whatever it's like, what is an American? Like, what is American culture? And I think we have to create that again. And I think that culture does emerge from the people, right? Sure. So when there's a majority group there's like racial proximity, they're from Europe or whatever, there's sort of becomes like a continuous cultural expression. But when you mix a bunch of people together and really fast, it just sort of dissolves into chaos.
Because at the heart of it, right, like there are mutually exclusive claims within those cultures, right? Like you cannot believe in individual liberty, freedom, equality amongst men and all this stuff, and then also have this other culture that is like, well, Sharia or whatever, just name the antithesis of Western culture. They can't coexist. And that's to me, it's not necessarily inherent. Maybe it is inherently a racial thing, but the culture is the thing that I see that is the biggest incongruency amongst the races. Because obviously we can breed together, so there's genetic compatibility to a degree, but like culturally, some of these cultures it's oil and water, and I think there's only one solution for that. You got to go be oil somewhere else.
Yeah,
back. 100%. Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, I still get pushback. You believe it or not, the most pushback I get is from right-wing people on that stuff. Your Connie conservatives,
right?
Because they'll be like, "Well, I'm all for legal immigration, but I'm not for illegal immigration." And it's like,
they're done. Conservative Inc. It's over for them. It's over.
You've been watching Dan Bongino meltdown? Fuck.
I haven't seen that. No, I think 2026 will be the year that a bunch of new figures sort of emerge. Because like Nick Fuentes, love him or hate him, the dude, I mean, he is leading the conversation. Yeah, he just, and I think that he's not the end all be all though. He's sort of like the spearhead. And I think from that will arise many cultural figures starting this year. And we're going to see a lot of people rise. And it's going to be interesting because we're going to see people that aren't like naturally sort of brought to the forefront. There's going to be funding and sponsorships and people like who are some of these people just come out of nowhere. I don't know who they are. And they're like right-wing conservatives and they're like based or whatever. It's like,
I was thinking that about you at first, but honestly, because from my perspective, you kind of came out hot and fast, dude. I mean, from your perspective, I have a podcast. People will see like, oh, you've done 58 episodes, but you don't see like the year building up to it, but they just see the finished content. So I started seeing you, then I started seeing you a lot and everywhere, and then doing a lot of things, and then your followers blowing up, and I'm like, is this guy a Fed? Because I'll tell you, I'm a Fed. I'm not that kind of Fed, but I am a Fed. So
well, I think thinking that way is the proper way to look at it, because I don't think you should just easily trust people. Like you see a lot of these like Clavicular, that guy.
Oh yeah.
I look at him and I'm like, something is off. There's something, it's nothing personal, but it's like, who is facilitating this? Because if it is natural, that's even more troublesome, really, because it just means that he's attracting an audience for something that is entirely postmodern and superficial, and it's just very odd and kind of nihilistic. Thing about it just rubs me the wrong way. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I think you're asking the right questions. Like, is he a Fed? The reason why, like, I don't know, I'm just very like mask off and authentic. I guess when I say like people that I don't trust, it's like some dude with a suit and he's talking to like these like institution people with like a suit on, and he's like, oh, well, I think that foreign policy and it's like, dude, I just get on my webcam and I just talk to people about what I think.
Yeah.
People do DM me sometimes. They're like, you're a Fed or whatever. It's like, bro, I have no money. I make no money from this. I mean, eventually I will. So when I start making money, people will be like, oh, he's rich now. But I make no money. I'm self-employed. This has done nothing but cost me money.
Do you worry about that? Do you worry about getting a bigger platform and all the problems that comes with that?
I mean, it's
because
already happened. It really has
well,
already happened.
but to the level, like, I mean, like, because the things that you say, the things that I say, the things that are, because I think what resonates with people is you are genuine and you're honest, and you're the things you're saying are aligning with what people are saying or seeing. I mean,
Yeah.
but there is a point where, and I know this by seeing it, watching people do it, and doing it myself, that you say things that are so against the narrative of our culture. You know, talking about from the state, or you know, the people who've been propagandized and believing things. You're saying things that are kind of against that to a large degree, and they will come for you. They come for everybody eventually.
Yeah.
You know, the hope is that you hit an apex fast enough that you get big enough to where they can't fully destroy you. But you have children, I have children. I think about that pretty consistently.
Yeah, I think about it every day.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I live in Florida. We have certain laws here to protect our, castle doctrine, and so I'd be fully
Sure.
prepared to protect myself if I had to. I hope that never happens, because I will say I'm an incredibly nonviolent person by nature, and I'm happy to hear people out. So for the most part, I think if people actually look past their immediate disgust, because really what I'm doing is I'm challenging a narrative that's been ingrained in them. But if they take more than 5 minutes to just examine what I'm saying, or even attempt to speak to me, which I do lives, and I'll have people that disagree with me on all the time, I'm pretty approachable and I treat everyone with respect.
Yeah.
So I think I can kind of get along with most people anyway. So yes, but I guess you're talking about more of like an institutional top-down elite.
Yeah. So we said
thing.
you have laws that protect you. Why do you trust those laws? Because I mean, you lived through
Right.
COVID. So
right. Yeah. I guess in terms of like angry people on the internet, that's one thing. But then there's
sure.
the feds are going to shut you down because, and that, look, it's possible. I sort of signed that contract of agreement when I began posting, and like you said, it was very quick because I've been posting on social media for years. My brother and I, we've been making music for a long time. We're kind of fucking experts at it, but straight, white, tall, not terrible looking dudes, they don't really they're not really pushed to the forefront. They're not brandable in the same way. So you know what? Dude, the first thing I said, it was like I made a joke about illegal immigrants. Illegal. I made a joke about it. This was I think it was like it would have been April, May. I posted a joke about it. And then like my management group got all mad. I was like part of the management group, and all these people were like, "Oh, dude." And then I just said, "You know what? I'm out." I left the management group and I just said, "Fuck it." So in August, September, I started talking about Israel and this stuff. July, I got fired from my job. I mean,
so this has already cost you. It's already cost you.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, it financially fucked me, really. But that's okay. I mean, it's like, I think I'm facilitating, I think I'm a voice for people that have grievances, like actual legitimate grievances, and maybe they don't know how to articulate it, or they don't know why they feel a certain way. And I think instead of like jumping down the whole like angry, resentful bandwagon, because that, I'm sort of more optimistic about it. I want to have like a pragmatic, constructive approach, because I even agree with like libtards on a lot of stuff, actually. But the issue is that liberals, they have a very destructive sort of thing. It's like the proletariat should demolish the bourgeoisie, victims, and we should just burn down cities and loot. It's like, that's destructive. I want to construct, even though fundamentally I play identity politics, but I think I have more of a constructive approach, I guess is what I'm saying.
So you're not black-pilled then? You wouldn't consider yourself black-pilled?
I accept many of the ideas that the black pill talks about as true, but the black pill basically says like it's over. I don't think it's over. I think we're at the end of the inevitable and repeated cycle that's probably happened over and over throughout all of history, prehistory. And I think we are there, and I understand what the accelerationists think, and I sort of agree in some sense, because the accelerationists, they're always right. It's just how close are they to the thing? You see what I'm saying? Like 10 years ago, talking about this shit, you're thrown into a cage and you're a crazy person. 2 years ago, everyone's talking about Israel, and now everyone's based. And it's like, it's a natural part of like, so I think that's where we're at. And I think we're going to see changes soon. And to answer your previous question, I really don't know what it's going to look like or going to happen, but I do think I'm optimistic overall.
That's good, man. That's good. I tend to fall more in that camp too. My co-host is completely black pilled. He's like, I want 400 mom dommies and AOCs to sweep, so this thing just gets kicked off. And you know, I have
Yeah.
kids, man. So I mean, I like you said, it resonates with me. A lot of that stuff resonates. We named this podcast the One Way Out Podcast because we kind of came to the conclusion during COVID that it doesn't matter how hard you vote or who you vote for, you just get what's happening. It seems to be the case. And the only way things ever change is usually through force. And that's, I have no illusions about what that means. It's not good.
Yes.
And then having small children, it's terrifying. But I like to pride myself on, I believe in objective reality, and things are the way they are, not how you'd like them to be. So I kind of try not to be black pilled as much as possible. Like, that's why I like to talk to you. If I was completely black pilled, there'd be no point in having a podcast at all.
Well, if you're totally black pilled, just kill yourself at a
just
certain
kill
point.
yourself. Well,
yeah, it becomes unmanageably nihilistic. And I guess what I think is going to happen, because everyone thinks there's going to be a race war, or in some sense there kind of is.
Sure,
a lot of crime, and whites and blacks are very against each other right now, and a lot of that's, I think, artificial, but a lot of it is natural.
The birth rates are real. Those are real.
The birth rates are certainly real, and these are really things to consider. I do think that all it's going to take, because this shit, we feel it all bubbling. Everyone feels it bubbling, and it's going to bubble up. I don't think it's going to fizzle. It's not going to just dissipate. It's going to explode into a concentrated event or series of events over time. And I think there will be a catalyst event, because right now, the average person, they're not worried about Somalians in Minnesota. They're not worried about Muslims in fucking Europe. They're worried about, like, how do I pay my goddamn car payment or whatever,
Sure.
or I got to go to the doctor to get a pimple on my ass fixed or some shit, right? It's day-to-day problems. But I think that there will be an economic event. I'm in insurance, and I'm not an economist, but I know insurance, and I know, and I monitor sort of people's relationship to buying and price. And I see things really getting tight for people. People are forfeiting insurance right now. They can't afford it. And I think there will be an economic event soon. I think it will be an economic thing. And look, people don't care about Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan right now, but give it 3 days without eating or being able to buy their fucking meds and see what the fuck happens. It's not going to be pretty,
You'll see the cost of a low trust society pretty quick, I think. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We have a lot of examples of this in the past, Katrina, things like that. When things fall apart, like, people will eat each other. And the only thing that kind of keeps you from eating each other is having, we talk about on the podcast, is owning your neighborhood, having a network of people that are like-minded like you, that when things get hard and they're incentivized to take advantage of you, they don't, because they actually care about you and society and the people around you and stuff like that. Did I lose you?
Oh, well, what? You're back. Okay. The only thing that keeps you from eating each other is what now?
Sorry. The only thing that keeps you from eating each other is having a culture and like-minded, sensibilities about you, that when you're incentivized to take advantage of, you're a group around you, that you don't, because you don't see them as outside of you. You see them as you. You know what I mean? Where if in Dearborn, fuck, they're going to prey on everyone who's not, they're probably not going to prey on their fucking Muslim neighbor. They're just going to go into the neighborhoods of the people who are infidels, around them, because they're out group, right? Yeah. Everybody has in-group preferences, out-group preferences. That's why it's so important. And I've been saying this for years on this podcast now, that I think this immigration thing is going to be a flashpoint, because it kind of highlights the fragility of our system and our culture, and the racial disparities and the economic disparities. It's all of that wrapped up into one thing. And then now they're being forced to confront it with force, meaning rounding people up. And then you have these domestic population that are, some of them are for it. A lot of them are out there standing in front of ICE vehicles. It's just, it's going to become this flashpoint, I think. That could easily be the flashpoint, or an economic thing, like you're saying, when things get hard. Either way, I only see this only going one way, man. And that's just like, there's going to be some kind of conflict, some kind of civil strife conflict, because the way the system is going now is just there's one way out, dude. That all signs. I don't want that to be true. I'm not black-pilled like Dan. I'm just saying, like, that's, if I go where the evidence leads, I don't lead the evidence, right? And things like you said, things are escalating in this cycle. of empires fall. We have tons of examples: Rome, Greece, the Turkish, the Turks. They've all fallen, and usually it's not from outside. Like every time it's internal, like always.
Right.
And I just see all the echoes of the empires that have fallen. I see them playing out now in our society. It's the fall of Rome with high-speed internet, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think the racial stuff is not, it's not a small part of that. I mean, by the time Rome fell, there was no Romans left, essentially. You know, their military was all Gauls and unfettered immigration. They gave citizenship to people they shouldn't have given citizenship. Sounds pretty fucking familiar to me.
Yes.
And then devaluing the dollar. I know you're not an economist, but like I spend a lot of time reading, you know, Rothbard and Mises and these Austrian economists. And dude, I see all of this stuff they talk about from the past just playing out right now. You know?
It doesn't take the observation of genius to notice that whatever we have is not sustainable.
I'm dumb as shit and I see it.
Yeah.
I'm just screaming it out to people and everyone's just like worried about who's going to play in the Super Bowl. And I'm like, okay, I mean, yeah, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All I know is I'm not making more money than I used to, and my bills are going up. So like, if that's everybody, I don't know. Honestly, bro, I don't know how people are surviving here in Florida. It's pretty goddamn expensive. I think it's probably as expensive as just about anywhere, maybe not California. And if you look at like Toronto, like living in Toronto, it's insane. Like I watched this post. It was like what $1 million buys you in different places in the world. And in like Scotland, you can get like a fucking ornate castle for like $1 million. And then in Texas, you can get like a nice, you know, like 3 or 4 bedroom. Yeah. And then in Toronto, it's like a little like a house from like Shameless, you know, and like South Chicago.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's all information, right? That's all indicators of it's not a healthy society, you know, if that's the case. And that's just one metric. But
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I'm glad that you are, you know, like you're out there doing the Lord's work.
You know, it's like either you just give up and kill yourself or you fucking like, let's see what happens. Like, it's going to be fun, you know?
Sure. Well, I'm kind of like, let's see what happens, but also like, what can I do? You know, like, you know, I think have these conversations, try to, you know, engage with as many people as possible, free as many minds in the matrix vernacular or whatever, matrix vernacular.
Yeah.
Which I think is what you're doing, which is why I thought it was so interesting to talk to you. Because you go onto those lives or not lives, like you go, is it like Tumblr? What are you using to talk to these random people? Omegle, okay.
Omegle.tv, yeah.
I just thought that was a bunch of dudes showing their dicks to people.
I mean, there's a little bit of that. You just got to pretend it doesn't happen. You got all right, moving on, you know?
So what is your experience? Cause that's it's a scientific sample, right? Like what is your experience dealing with your average person on there? Like how informed would you say they are?
That's part of the thing to consider is like, I don't know if you're getting the best sample size. Like, are these really America's best and brightest? No, oddly enough, I would say the most common demographic is young Mexican female. I don't know why that is. I think there's probably because there's a lot of Mexicans, but young Mexican women, they're all over Omegle. I don't know why. So I don't think you're getting like a proportionate, you know, and then it's like young women who are like 17 or 20 and they don't know fucking anything. So my experience is that people really just have no idea about anything. And that's because I barely know anything and they know like half of what I know. It's like, oh, wow, this doesn't make me feel. It's like, you know, when like you're a dad, right? So like you have your kids and your kids, they don't know anything.
No,
they don't, and they think you know everything. They really think you're a goddamn genius. And then you're like, I don't know anything. They're like, Dad, why is the sky blue? And you're like, it's because the ocean,
light reflecting through the atmosphere.
Yeah, you're like,
something.
You know. So it's like that. It's like I know more than I guess these random people on the internet. But yeah, it's just it's not the actual problems in our nation aren't really taught to people. It's more about like what's happening on Euphoria, the new episode of Euphoria.
Sure. We're fat and uninterested is how I typically describe our country.
And I don't expect a bunch of Mexicans to care about white people going extinct either, frankly. You know?
That's fair. That's pretty fair. Because they have what? They have no stake. They have no stake.
And they're proud to be Mexican. They're like, well, we're Mexican.
So I would say let's go into this then, because this is kind of where I've been. You're familiar with the red pill movement, and I don't mean like the red pill, like, oh, you're woke to things, like the specific red pill, the dynamics between men and women kind of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think people put enough emphasis on the fucking devastation that has caused. Not the red pill, but like the actual facts of the current state of relationships between men and women and the human pair bonding that's or not going on, essentially.
True.
Like, so you ask these questions, you're like, why do we let women vote? So let me ask you that question. Why do we let women vote?
Why? I mean, like, for some people, it's the Jews, it's like, or it's first wave feminism, which was a lot of Jews, or it's multifaceted because everything is. So I don't really know. I don't have an answer. I think what happens when a society develops and we become industrialized, we have the means to move towards egalitarianism, which on paper sounds like it makes sense. Why wouldn't we allow for the most qualified people to vote? Well, women, they're I mean, it's not like there's no women it's not like every woman's an idiot or something like that.
No.
But again, I mean, it's because the 19th Amendment.
But even what you just said, it's not like most women are idiots, though. But like, you even had to frame it that way to be kind of sensitive in a way, because most people are idiots, and women are in general, because we have to speak in generalities, right? That's how we have conversations. And right. I've seen you try to have generality conversations with people. Like, that's not true. I know someone who does this. That's a low IQ signal, right? But
right.
In general, people are not super intelligent. And then in general, men on average are generally more intelligent than women. So like that women make up a larger subset of people that are not intelligent, I guess.
And a lot of men probably shouldn't be voting either. Like some
100%
world probably shouldn't be voting. And I don't know what the answer is to that. Here's the thing. You have to draw hard lines, right? You have to draw a line somewhere. And it's like the lines are sometimes arbitrary and will exclude people that would otherwise be qualified, like the age of consent, for example. That's an arbitrary number. But if we don't draw the line, then it's legal to be a pedophile. So you have to draw a line. Well, what makes sense? 19? No. 18? Okay. Well, why not 21? Why not 17? It's like we have to agree on a number, and then there's just no questions asked. And I think that that's fair. And like I was saying, like the further we get developed, the more we can sort of play with those things.
Yeah.
And I think that that's been a mistake. I think as a rule, because I don't even think voting is a matter of intelligence either. I don't think you should even, maybe someone with like a fucking 65 IQ shouldn't be voting, but I don't think someone with a 65 IQ would care to vote. I think that there should be like,
tell that to the Somalians, bro. I'm pretty sure.
Look at it this way. Do you think like a woman with 120 IQ is more qualified to vote than a man with 100 IQ that like served in the military and is a man and has fucking chest hair and raises his kids and works? It's like, no.
Yeah. Well, at very best, I would kind of say they're on equal footing, because a woman in general, even a smart one, is still ruled by her emotions much more than men are. They're just,
well, that's what I'm getting at, because I don't think IQ and logic are directly correlated. They are correlated, but I don't think they're like a direct, like you can be a really high IQ person and sort of destroy your life through impulsive decision making.
You just destroy it better.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You can just say big words while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that women generally should just be excluded from most like leadership positions, most decision making, most cultural conversation. I just don't really want to hear what they have to say about it. I just don't care.
Yeah, but that's not based on.
And it's not that none of them say anything valuable.
Sure.
Right. Exactly. It's not that none of them say anything valuable, but it's like, again, it comes down to how do we structure a society?
Yeah.
Who do we allow to vote? What is the age of consent? How old do you have to be to go in the military? We have to draw hard lines, and I think we've just let it go too far. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct. That's actually right. But I see this concerted effort to separate or create these conflicts between men and women that have been largely successful through feminism, culture, all the Netflix movies and stuff, making all the crazy female Marvel characters and stuff. and it's been so detrimental, dude. Like,
Yes.
and I hate to bring anecdotes into this, but in my own life, like I said, I was married, still technically, but I have not met a woman in my real life that was not a feminist. And that doesn't mean all over the political spectrum, right, left, Christian, atheist, they're all feminists. And what I mean by that is like, well, men and women are equal. And it's like, I mean, it's and the way they mean that is not like, I mean, clearly some of them literally will say men and women, there is no difference. Some people will say that, you can discount those people, but people will be like, well, no, they're all equal in, like, like Christians would say, in the eyes of God or in the eyes of the law or whatever. And actually none of that is actually true.
Yeah. I wouldn't even agree, to be honest.
I don't agree with that.
I wouldn't even agree that they're equal of God.
No, if you read the Bible, they're definitely not. And you read other religious texts, like in no religion are they equal to men. And that's not a knock on women, but women, like, they'll take it personally, and I can understand why, because you're saying you're better than me. It's like, I mean, at some things and the things that we're talking about, yes. Yeah.
It's not better, it's superior.
Like, superior,
your boss is your superior, your president is your superior.
Sure.
My dad is my superior. It's just not, see, and that's part of the thing, man. It's like it's flattening natural hierarchies. That's what it all is. That's what Marxism is. That's what feminism is. Flattening natural hierarchies. That's what communism is. It's literally what communism is. And it just destroys society, saying everything's equal. Everyone gets paid the same. It's like, that does not work. The world is full of hierarchies. Even even ideas are hierarchical. So, when you say men and women are equal, it's like, what are you even saying? It's like, equal means the same. Obviously, we're not the same. Women are, they're invaluable. We need them. But it's like, to think that they can do all the same things, that we should incentivize that, is ridiculous. And yeah, like you said, all the red pill stuff, and then the poisoning of media, and then social media and dating apps. I don't even know what it's done to us. It's done stuff to me. I don't even
I think
know.
I think it's irreversible at this point, as far, and I hate, that's a black pill take, but like, the birth rates in America, for let's say for whites, for example, are 1.6. No one's historically ever came back from that. I mean, no one's come back from that. And the only way you would come back from that, it's almost like how you would fix the immigration system, right? I worked all through Biden, and officially we let in 10 million people. But your initial assessment of like probably 50 million people being here, that's probably the lower end of what I would think historically. They don't know how many people are here illegally. They have no fucking idea. Yeah. But 10 million officially in 4 years or 3.5 years under Biden. The only way to fix that is pretty significant force.
Yes.
And I view this feminism in the last 100 years. The only way to fix that is also equally as pretty much every problem we have that is leading to the collapse of the empire is going to require some pretty serious, like, intervention forcefully. And I think a lot of people,
we just need our guy.
Well, he's going to happen, but remember, you got to be careful with that, because the people who rise up, I mean, that historically has also gone bad. Like the guy who comes in and fixes the problems. Like, we have a couple examples. Like, you're familiar with the Roman general Sulla?
No.
Sulla. So Rome, prior to it becoming real decadent, there was a lot of corruption, this immigration stuff going on, the endless wars. So they had a general that came up. I think he was a senator first, and he became a general. He basically came in, executed a bunch of politicians, instituted a bunch of laws, declared himself dictator, then became consul, and then he just fixed everything and walked away, stepped away, and then was like, okay, we're a republic again, if you guys can keep it, kind of thing. But most cases, when someone gets to that level, usually they don't walk away. Usually they just turn into something else, like a North Korea type situation. But yeah, I am worried that how far off the rails things have got. There is going to be a strong man that rises, and he's going to fix a lot of things. And then hopefully he's what do they call it? A benevolent dictator type character.
Sure.
That's because I think that's what we need, essentially. Yeah, and it's hard. It sucks as someone with libertarian sensibilities and free market capitalist and all individual liberty.
I said it's the same thing. You don't believe this because you want it. You believe it want to survive. It's that
Yes,
simple.
it is
Yeah.
literally life or death, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I think I have a pretty concrete case to make about that. And most people are just so allergic to that. And I get it, because our whole American ideals that we've been propagandized is like, no, this is the land of the free, you know, home of the
Right.
brave, democracy, and all that stuff. None of that's true, but like we've all been brainwashed into that. So when you hear someone say something like this, you're like, oh, you're just an
Yes.
authoritarian, you know. But at this point, like,
Right.
it's survival. I don't care if you call me an authoritarian. All my libertarian friends are going to disagree with me. I don't care, because at the end of the day, I mean, you're going to die and I'm not. you know, so like you can be 100% with your principles and dead, or you can engage with the reality of the situation and your line can survive. And we're full of people who survived, so that's what matters.
I have this recurring joke. I won't bring the person into it, but we debate all the time about this. And he's like, "Oh, it's," and I'm like, "Dude, you would have a Somalian break into your house with a gun, and you would say, no, let's just have a nuanced discussion about it," and he would just fucking pistol whip your wife. It's like, bro, I'm done talking about it. Like, I just want things to change. You know, I don't care about the nuance and meritocracy. It's dead. It's over.
Yeah, we're past the point of conversation, I think, and we have been for a little while now. Because like, you ever seen Starship Troopers? That movie, Starship Troopers?
I have seen it. I won't know the reference though.
Okay, so there's a line where he says, violence is the authority, the supreme authority from which all other authorities derive. And that is something people should internalize, even the libertarians, because at the end of the day, like, if you're a libertarian and someone's doing something, it's violence is the supreme authority from which all other authorities derive. Because
Force doctrine.
Exactly. If you're familiar with force doctrine, which is why feminism will never work, because women will never have the force.
And that's why it's worked so far, is because we've allowed it to happen.
Who allowed it? Men allowed it.
Men.
Yeah.
Men didn't kill them, right? It's like
and because you see the rest of the world and they don't allow it. And arguably they're doing better in a lot of metrics than we are as far as birth rates, even culturally, they're much more homogenous. They can just say, fuck you, we're not like the Japanese. No, we don't want other people to come in here that aren't Japanese. They're able to do that because the men are making the decisions. Who is at these fucking immigration rallies right now in Minneapolis? It's fucking liberal white women without children generally, and fucking dudes trying to bang them, you know, who I would regard as also women.
And you know what's interesting? The Scandinavian countries are the most progressive in terms of like egalitarianism, but they sort of have made it work a little bit better than we have in the West. And I really think that's because they're all the same race. Like, they're all
for now. They're changing that. They've had quite a few problems. Like Sweden, for example, is getting raped to death over there by African immigrants. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. And the more they adjusted for that egalitarian shit, the more the gaps between men and women kind of grew, you know, because if you leave men and women to their own devices, they're different.
They choose different shit.
Yeah, they choose different shit. But that's, you know, misogynistic or patriarchy or whatever the fuck.
You know what it is? It's genetic determinism, which to me is perfectly compatible with racial realism. All of these, you know what's so funny? All of these like liberal people that believe in like no free will and determinism and all these things. And I'm like, that's perfectly compatible with race realism, by the way. Determinism. Sure. Like, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And I'm somewhat of a determinist myself, unfortunately. I don't really like it, but I'm kind of a determinist. And it's like, I don't know how you can see, like, if your genetics sort of inform who you become, obviously men and women are going to be different. Obviously races are going to be different. So it's so obvious, you know? The
second you have two different minds, you're just going to have differentiation, you know?
Yeah.
So not to get too philosophical here, but the free will issue, so you would say like you are not the author of your own choices exactly, or what would you say on that?
Oh man,
I read Sam Harris. I mean, I've read.
Yeah. I've watched all his dissertations on it. I've watched Alex O'Connor cover it. I watched Robert Sapolsky. A lot of Jews in that stuff, which rubs me the wrong way a little bit.
It's like Jeet Kune Do, bro. You got to take what's useful and disregard the rest.
Yeah, I will say this, and I've thought about free will more than I've thought about anything else.
Okay, do you have it?
I remember being a kid and sort of thinking like very like rudimentary versions of it. Like if you're born like mentally retarded, you're going to make different decisions than someone who's not.
Probably.
And you don't really choose that. You're sort of born with like a default sense of cognition and abilities. And that's what the cards you're dealt. It's like, okay, if you're born 7 feet tall versus 4 feet tall, you'll be different. You'll be good at different sports, right? So I'm like, okay. And then later I've heard it articulated very well by people like Sam Harris, who as an individual politically, I find him just off-putting in every sense. But
Yes.
I really do think that he understands the free will issue better than anybody I've ever heard. And I'm pretty much convinced. Now, determinism is different because determinism basically says that if you were to like rewind the entire clock of the universe, everything would happen the same way. I don't know that that's true because I know that there's like subatomic randomness and quantum.
Sure.
And I don't know anything about it, but that does leave room for things being not predictable. But still, that doesn't like anywhere you sort of insert this concept of like, I could have done otherwise.
It's a circular argument, right? If everything happened exactly how it happened before, it would happen the same way. I'm like, yeah, you're basically saying if everything.
Yeah, right. But it's like I raised my right hand, but I could have raised my left hand, and it's like, okay, I think that that's sort of a incomprehensible idea that I could have done otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually.
However, I mean, who is like, here's the thing, and I mean, I don't want to spend an hour on it because we could really talk about free will for like a fucking hour. And it's actually tortured me because I've gone through periods of my life where it disturbs me on the deepest level that Are you
an atheist?
No, I'm not an atheist.
Okay.
And that's probably why it disturbs me so much.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I mean, a man is constantly searching for meaning, and if everything's predetermined, it sort of eliminates this like sense of, I'm choosing to act in accordance with God's will, and by doing so, I'm rewarded in some way. Versus like everything that I ever do, down to the very words that I'm saying right in this moment, are predetermined. No.
Well, that's the Christian worldview, right? I mean, they try to lie to themselves and say that it is free will, but no, everything happens according to God's plan. They'll also say that you can't have something happen to another external source's plan and also have it be your own. You know, like it's not. I mean, it's only your own because it's theirs. They have agency, you do not. In the Christian worldview,
I can get on board with that. And here's the thing: before I understood free will the way that I do now, I thought, and now I understand it a certain way, and I'm sold that we don't have it. Could I be convinced if I was 10 IQ points higher, or I heard a concept that hasn't been introduced to me, could I be convinced that there is some room for it? Perhaps. But I do sort of agree with everything that you just said.
Yeah.
And what was the last thing about that?
So you should be responsible still for your choices, correct?
Well, right, because because your choices still have consequences. You can't have murderers running around doing stuff. Because people say, this is what I was going to say is when you go down to like the nub of, and this is the disturbing part to me, when you go down to the root of the free will question, you start to realize that the self, like the sense of self, is sort of an illusion, right? We sort of think that I'm Forrest, I'm the same guy that I was yesterday, and it's like, not really though. Not really, because you aren't the same. Not only are like even down to the molecules that make up my body, it's going to be different 10 years from now. My memories are different. My knowledge is different. My opinions are different. I'm maybe more mature than I was when I was 12. And really the only sense of continuity between who I was when I was 12 and who I am at 30 is just my memories of it. And if I forgot everything, it's like, am I even really the same person? And it's sort of dissolves like who is me, and that kind of challenges the concept of the soul. And if you're challenging the concept of the soul, that's where it really gets uncomfortable, because then you're like, well, there is really no me. It's an illusion. It's an emergent property of consciousness that my ego calls the self.
Yeah.
And maybe like is a little husk, this little tiny pilot light that is always me, and everything else is a construct. That's possible. But me and my interests and my ideas and all these things, it's like, I don't know if that is me.
So I mean, I love these kinds of conversations. I don't have very many people in my life that I can have conversations like this with. I mean, hopefully your brother's like this, because
he is a little bit more. I bring up free will all the time, so he gets irritated at me, but he's somewhat flexible with it.
Dude, my best friend's like that too. He's like, "Fuck, dude! Like, you're gonna talk about this again? You're gonna scare away all the girls." Yeah. But I'll try to rope this back into our cultural topic here. But there is no solution to hard solipsism. If you're familiar with that term, like you cannot actually reason your way around. How do you know you weren't just born 10 seconds ago by some universe creating pixie, and then you just, all the memories you were born with are real? Like, you can't really know that. Or how do you know you're not just a brain in a vat imagining everything else, including this conversation? Is like, I don't exist. The only thing you know is you exist. It's the only thing you know for sure. But if you're not a atheist, which I am an atheist, which is a huge diversion from pretty much all my friends, most people. I'm also an agnostic, where I don't know if there is a God. There may or may not be a God. I could see a universe where there is a God. I've just never seen any reason. The Sam Harris argument. I've never just seen the argument. Like, I've never been convinced. I'm not convinced. That's all. But as far as our culture goes, how do you feel about the Judeo-Christian foundation? I said it like that specifically for you. The Judeo-Christian foundation of the country. And how do you think that's affecting everything that we see go on here? Like, as far as, like, we haven't talked about Israel and our relationship with Israel, but I'm assuming you're not an Israel first person based off our conversation.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So
maybe I'm Israel last.
Well, they would put us last, I assume, based off how they treat us. But yeah, that the Christians have this worldview that it's also probably part of the Western problem with immigration too, right? Because the Christian ethos is very like welcoming and loving of everyone. You love everyone, love your neighbor, love everybody. But they said that in a time when your neighbor was like someone like you that grew up in the village you grew up in, not someone from across the world who has a different religion than you. When those maxims were first introduced into our zeitgeist. But this Judeo-Christian foundation of our country has kind of led us to this place where we have this suicidal empathy, I think, toward all these people, welcoming them in and supporting all these countries and all this stuff. I don't know how you undo that, because I as an atheist, I see the utilitarian value in religion, because a lot of people are not cognitively capable of creating a foundational moral principle set for themselves. In religion, whatever it is, gives you that, like, does a lot of the heavy lifting, like, hey, you shouldn't kill people. Hey, you shouldn't steal from people. Hey, you should, honor your parents. Like, these are all things that if you couldn't get there on your own, they just force feed them to you. And it's better than having nothing, which I see a lot of the liberal left that are atheists generally as well. They have no guiding principles. Maybe they know some cursory shit about Marxism or something, but they don't have a foundational set of principles. So, like, what are your foundational set of principles, and how are they judging this current society and situation we're in? The porn and endless wars and taxation, whatever, like all of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I don't think I have it figured out, even for myself, because I would say I'm culturally Christian. Many of my values are Christian. It gets into, like, we could go down the road of, like, is morality subjective or is it objective? And you can be an atheist and you can make the case. You can make, like, a secular humanist case that it is objective. Someone like Matt Dillahunty, who's like a secular
very
humanist,
familiar.
He would say, like, well, I think it's wrong to kill people, not because God told me, because it's in my best interest to set an example not to kill people. And it's like,
why should you care about your best interest? That's where they're going to reducto ad absurdum. I think fundamentally it is all subjective. That's what I think.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's all subjective if there's no sort of transcendental, like, why do you care about your best interest? And it's like, well, I'm sort of biologically driven to. I mean, you could definitely make that case. And I really don't know. It's like, okay, maybe a lot more natural and biological than we think. I'm sure you're familiar with like the idea of ethical emotivism.
No.
Ethical emotivism is basically the idea that me thinking that like murder is wrong is more so just like a proclamation of an emotion rather than like an actual value statement, right? It's like saying like boo murder, like I don't like murder, rather than it being some sort of like objective. And I think a lot of things are like that.
An emotional argument, you mean? Kind of thing?
Sort of. I'm not really. If you're familiar with someone like Alex O'Connor, he'll be able to more articulately explain it. But that sort of idea, like ethical emotivism and moral like subjectivity and atheism, it really bothers me. I'm not religious. I would say that I have, or at least have had, a relationship with God, whatever that might mean.
Sure.
And the free will thing really sort of challenges like my sense of purpose and my relationship with whatever that is that God is. And I think that there's something there to be said about it. Maybe I'm just a fragile mind and I need religion in order to have morality.
How does it challenge you, though? I would say.
Well, in the same way, in the same way that, we were saying earlier, like the free will thing, it sort of makes things seem meaningless. It's like, okay, if there's no free will, then there is no ability to act in accordance with what is right. So anything that I ever do right, I'm not responsible for. And everything I do wrong, I'm not responsible for. So it's kind of like an ego killer in a sense.
But it is still subjective, right? Like how do I know, why is this thing actually right? Like even if you subjectively determine, like you have your own subjective wants and likes, like that would still, once you have those subjective foundations, like I don't want to rape somebody. Now there's objective ways to move, right? Like if I rape someone, that is in conflict with my subjective preference to not rape people,
Right. Well, here's the thing. If everybody subjectively felt the same way, then it would just be like normal.
Sure. Which is, I think, true generally. True.
So really what it comes down to is you can't really insert like a value claim. It's just a matter of how many people subjectively agree with me versus
this is the whole crux of our argument about why you need a culture that is you, because this makes you aligned. This is what I was trying to get at, is it makes you aligned to where, yes, I agree. Well, in my opinion, this is all subjective. Morality is subjective at its foundation. So I need to surround myself with people who agree with me subjectively, because now we can have a cohesive, productive, functioning society where if I have all these people, because it's hard for a Christian. Well, it kind of ultimately it's hard for a Christian to tell a Buddhist you're wrong because my doctrine is correct, because they're going to use the exact same argument that you said to them. They're going to use the exact same argument to you, and it's equally valid, which means it's subjective.
When Muslims stone women to death for back talking, we think that's wrong. When Asian people eat Labradors, we think that's wrong, but to them it's subjectively. And who's to say it's fucking like
correct?
Right. And so, but it's like, but I don't want to be around people that are doing things that disgust me like that. So I agree with you. I think that, and really getting back into like racialism and stuff has sort of reopened that compartment in my brain of the whole free will thing that I've sort of snuffed out, where it's like, okay, a family is a culture, a community is a culture, and a people is a culture. And when you mix it all together, that's really a matter of emergent properties of human biology conflicting with each other.
Create societies.
Culture and morality would come from people. Morality doesn't float around in the air and we sort of like grab it. It's like it comes from us. So I actually do largely agree with everything you just said there. And as far as the Judeo-Christian thing, that's the other part. It's like the Judeo-Christian thing, that's just like a fucking fed op, psyop bullshit.
Propaganda. Yeah,
but it's like, are we a Christian nation? Would it be better if we were? Should we be? Like, if I elect a politician, is he like putting his hand on a Bible or like on the secular humanist? It's like, I don't know, man. I feel like the idea of like a transcendental sort of thing, because I look at religion as emergent as well. I think if there is a God, which I'm open to, and I do believe there is some level of God, whether it's the universe or whatever, that thing is a constant force. and it sort of dictates the order of the universe. But our expression of that, you have Catholicism, you have like European Catholicism versus Catholicism in fucking Ethiopia.
Sure.
You have Buddhist, and they're all sort of tapping into the same thing, but the way that it looks, whether it's from the architecture or the language or the way they dress or the way that they pray, it's emergent of the people. So I do think that religion is important, but I think it's actually like a secondary matter. I think many things are actually secondary matters, and the primary matter is like the people. And like you said, it's largely a racial thing.
Yeah. I would say I would tack onto the racial thing, a cultural thing. But yes, I think that they're tied together, right?
Right.
Yeah, dude. I really I think it's not a negligible part of our society is our because like we can both sit here and probably pick apart the society as far as like how it's devolved into degeneracy, but why we think it's degeneracy and should it not be degeneracy, that's like where the discussion I think is to be had as far as like what should the foundational principles be of our, let's say our not utopian but like our preferred homogenous, high trust, culturally similar society. And how do we get there? Because what I see now is like that's religion is another thing that's kind of gone away largely that used to bind us all together. We were all Christian. Like people still say this is a Christian nation, but what makes this a Christian nation? Like what is it that makes this a Christian nation? Do people believe in God? Okay. Most people still say they do, but how does that play out? Like, how do they govern their lives?
Right.
How does the country govern? Does this country govern like a country that is run by Christians? Because it doesn't seem to be the case. From what I was raised Roman Catholic, altar server, Catholic school, the whole deal. And what I see our politicians doing and our society doing is directly in contradiction to Catholic ideals. I mean, abortion is rampant all over the fucking place. That's murder.
Okay, so you're against abortion.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But you believe that's a subjective value.
That I say it's wrong. Yes, it's objectively that you are killing someone. It's
objective that you're ending a life, absolutely. Yes. But subjectively, you're like, oh, that's wrong. That's murder. It's unjust.
Yeah, it's my preference. My preference that we don't murder babies. Yeah. And I want to be surrounded with people who have that same preference. And generally, people have that preference, except when it comes to abortion.
Now, let me ask you this. So this might get down to something. So if you look at like men and women and their, we could say that it's a subjective preference that feminism is bad and then it leads to problems. But it's like these problems that you and I identify as problems, that's also kind of subjective. You could say, well, it's leading to birth rates and divorce and all these things. And sure. but it's like those are experientially negative. However, it's still subjective.
No, it's not even. It's actually.
See what I'm saying?
It is subjective at its very foundation. But when you press people on that, do you care if there are people or not? Everyone will care if there are people or not.
Well, that's what I'm saying though, because maybe it's more of a matter of like natural order. Like, why is abortion wrong? Because it's you could easily justify it, and if you don't believe in God, it's like fucking abortion, whatever. It's like it's fucking child sacrifice. Who cares? But it's contrary to like natural order, and like that just feels wrong. And you could say that's subjective. But the emotion is a response to an objective thing.
If homosexuality was universal, there would be no more people, which I would view, most people would view as a negative, something they do not want. It is in conflict with their deeply held internal beliefs. Like if everyone just became gay tomorrow, there were no more babies. Is that good or bad? Well, according to the universe, it's amoral. It doesn't matter. The universe doesn't really give a shit whether there's people or not. But you, as a thinking, conscious person, do care if there's people because you're a person and you care about your own survival on a genetic, biological level. So now it's in conflict with your innate goals of survival. And that's what mothers killing babies is one of those things. Like that is not something that aligns with your goal that people exist.
I would agree. Like abortion is wrong, and that's not a religious standpoint. And you're making an atheist standpoint, which I find interesting because it's less common. But it's sort of like maybe you just understand natural order more than some like libtard atheist.
And I value it. I value natural order because you can understand it and not give a shit about it.
But then it goes to the natural order isn't subjective though. You see what I'm saying? That's kind of the thing where it's like if you sort of take away our perception.
It's descriptive. It's not subjective in the saying that wants would be subjective. Like I want people to survive. That's different than saying like people who drink arsenic die. That is objective, right? So why should I care if someone drinks arsenic? Because I want them to live. So now that's the subjective part. So like if you're saying the natural order is you drink arsenic, you die. The subjectivity comes into it. I don't want that to happen. It's my preference. Like you ever heard Stefan Molyneux?
Yes.
Yeah. So he has this idea called universal basic preference or universal preferences or something. His moral system is based on that. It's all things that when you really press people on, we all generally agree across cultures. We agree that parents want their children to survive. That's generally acceptable across cultures. And at the heart of that is your preference, right? Preferences is subjective. You cannot escape it. Sam Harris made this in the Moral Landscape book argument. The foundation is it's subjective, but once you agree, which most of us do agree on these things, now there's objective ways to move on that. Where if you value children's lives, does abortion align with children surviving or unalign with children surviving? Well, now it's very clear. Now I make the objective argument to someone about it. And what people will try to do is do this little fuck game of like, well, why should we care? It's like, but you do care. We've already established you do care. So now you have to be honest about objectively. This is in conflict of what you state you care about.
100%.
And that's it's hard. This conversation we're having right now, I think most people are just not equipped to have it. I
agree. I think about this, like what you're describing right now. I think about this shit every day, all the time, and it's kind of torturous, to be honest. And I don't think I'm like way smarter than people. Like I'm just kind of an average person, but I think smart all the time. I just never stop thinking, and I think about like deep things. I'm very interested in deep matters like religion, all that, and I'll fluctuate back and forth between, because could it be the case that everything is subjective and there's a God? Maybe. Could it be the case that we actually only, like even the smartest people, the smartest atheists like Matt Dillahunty and Sam Harris, they can only get down to the root of everything being subjective, but in reality, if someone was even more equipped, could sort of demonstrate why it is objective. Like maybe there's really smart people that defend that too. But I guess where I'm at with it now is I do sort of more align with what you're describing is like morality is subjective. And it's difficult because it untethers you from safe, already preordained things, which is it's not fun, No. And also being a right winger, it's not as popular.
No, it's not. It's definitely not, because and I think that is a consequence of where your average intelligence quote is at, is that they want things to be black and white, and things sometimes they require more thinking than that. Like the correct time to believe something, if you know Dillahunty, the correct time to believe something is when it's been demonstrated to be true. That is the correct time to believe something. So if you're making an argument to someone that is a subjective argument, the only thing you have to demonstrate is that they agree with the foundation premise, like whatever it happens to be. Like if you want, like a leftist, if a leftist wants the most people to do well in life, well, now that's their subjective preference. They actually care about people doing well. So what is the objective ways we can move on this spectrum of doing worse?
And here's my only apprehension. I agree with everything you just said. It's unfalsifiably true what you just said, but it feels incomplete. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get it. It
feels like there's something else there though that we're just not quite contending with, and I don't know
what that is. I don't know what that is then. And when if someone is able to articulate or demonstrate that thing, whether they're super intelligent or not, if they demonstrate it, then I will also believe that thing. But to say it feels right, that's like what women tell me all the time. Well, I feel like men and women are the same. It's like I have the same feeling you do, because it's uncomfortable. It is very uncomfortable to come to the realization that this is all just.
I wonder why. maybe it's sort of like a biological defense mechanism that we have that makes us yearn for something transcendental. But then, or we're just not quite facing something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I agree. Do you know who Richard Spencer is?
Oh yeah. Yes.
So he's kind of like, I'm sort of seeing myself.
He's a white nationalist. You can't like him.
Well, I don't even know what he is. Like, I'll listen to him for hours and I'm like, I don't know what this guy even believes. It's really weird.
Yeah.
He's like, in 2016, he was like the alt-right fucking neo-Nazi guy. And
sure.
But now he's literally like a fucking liberal. He's like,
yeah,
he's like fine with abortion and stuff, but he's also like kind of a race realist, but he also criticized race realism. I'm like, what does this motherfucker believe? I see myself in him a little bit. And I'm interested in people like that because they're not ideologues. And I don't think I'm an ideologue. I really don't. I think that I'm like a unique thinker.
Yeah.
I think I have I don't think of all my own ideas. I mean, people make huge impressions on me, but like, I don't just have one person and I believe everything they say. Like when I was younger, it's like I extract from all sorts of things. And that's one thing about Nick Fuentes that I really like. When I started like watching him in like late 2022, my brother showed me him. I wasn't really sold on him to begin with, but one thing that I found very fascinating is that he was like a right-wing person, but like not ideologically. He was like ideologically identitarian, which I would say I am now. But beyond that, everything else was negotiable. Like he would talk about like socialism and he would say things that right-wing people would never agree with. And I was like, oh, he's sort of like free in the way that he can contend with different ideas. He's not locked into, because there was a time in my life, not even that long ago, where if someone challenged the idea that capitalism is the best economic system, I'd be like, no, buddy, it's free market fucking Friday or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. You
shouldn't be married to your ideas, man. Like you get stuck in a box if you do that. And this is why I think you're doing so well, dude, is because you're an authentic person who is curious. And that's all you fucking need. That's all you need is to be who you really say you are and be curious. And that's it. That's what makes interesting people. And you find most people lack one of those two things.
Well, people have told me, they'd say, well, you need to read more, or you need to be more convinced on your ideas, or you need to do this, that, or the other before you start talking. It's like, no, I reserve the right to change my opinion at any point. I probably will. I'm only 30. When I'm 45, you think I'm going to think everything the same way? It's like, no, I'm going to be different. I'm going to know different shit. You know, if I'm alive, God willing. And it's
this is what people lose credibility when they refuse to change regardless of the evidence. But if you always follow the evidence, I think you'll always be okay, dude. Like you'll always be on the right side of things because you're like, I was operating with the best information I had. It's the people that like, you know, like when I try to tell like right-wing people, like, no, dude, like Trump, he actively said he was going to put the Epstein files out. Then he said there was no Epstein files. Then he said it was a Democrat hoax. And then he said it's a million Epstein files. Like those are all mutually exclusive. And this is not a consistent, like he's not changing to the evidence. He just keeps doubling down regardless of the evidence. And this is what people have an aversion to when they see people who are not real people. They're ideologues, like you said.
And all the boomers will be like, oh, you know, it's like, bro, the fucking Epstein files. It's like, I really don't give a shit about the Epstein files, but he fucking said that's the reason why people voted for him. Is for that and mass deportation. It's like no new wars too. What the fuck? Yeah,
dude, all of that. People don't like it when you're inconsistent, and the people that like you, even when you're inconsistent, I mean, where they say that you're in a cult or you're an ideologue, you don't actually care about what's true. But those people, me too. But those people are losing. I think those people are losing because like there's more. I mean, it doesn't help that you can have video montages of you saying one thing and then saying another. Like people don't like inconsistency. So when I watch your videos, I have seen a progression from you, and you know, like you've come this route of identifying what you view as problems, and you're just pulling on these threads, and it's leading you wherever the fuck it's leading you. You know, lead you right here to this podcast or whatever. But that kind of resonates with, I think, honest people. And I appreciate that kind of thing.
Well, thanks for noticing, man. I think that's the thing. It's like I will probably think differently 6 months from now.
Yeah.
I can't promise I'll think the same things. And people get mad about that. They're like, you're not racist enough. And it's like, okay, relax. It's like, I'm going to just confront things as they go. And the only thing I can promise I'll stay on to the best of my ability is that I'm just going to like say what I think is true. And that's it.
Dude,
you know?
I mean, that's asking a lot these days. That's asking a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked you, like your views have already cost you something. So that's like an indicator to me. Like my best friends in the Border Patrol now, they're the guys who, when they were told to get this shot, they said no. And it was,
right.
I mean, they threatened to fire us. Like that'll show you who really believes what when it comes down to it. Cause it's easy to be against slavery in 2025, right? You know, it's hard to be against slavery. 1864. Those are the people that really believed it, you know?
I think we should bring slavery back personally.
Well, I just use that as an example, but you know,
kind of. I mean, it's some people maybe. We honestly, maybe some prison inmates. Yeah.
Yeah. It exists today. People pretend like it doesn't, but we have slavery today in this country. I mean, what do you think us outsourcing all these things, these companies out to other countries are? It's essentially
right. Yeah, there's levels to it. That's for sure.
There's levels. Yeah. Just be honest about it. That's all I would ever ask. Because once someone's honest, whether I agree with them or not, I can at least interact with them accurately. Yeah. You know, like Richard Spencer. He believes what he believes, whether I disagree with him or not, but I understand what he believes. Like a character like that cat turd dude on Twitter. I don't know if you're on Twitter. Like these cat turd is like his handle. He's a Trump supporter guy. But there's these Con Inc. people that I don't know what you actually think, you know, because you will say one thing and literally just do another, or you'll say one thing regardless of what the evidence is, and you're not willing to change your mind. So I have no idea what you actually think.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people did more of that, I think we would do a lot better. We're coming up on an hour and a half, dude. I don't know what you got going on. But this is the kind of conversations that I fucking love to have, dude. I just
we should do it again. I mean, you're interesting in that. I mean, you and I could talk a lot about philosophy. I think I wasn't prepared to today, but I'm very much interested in. I have to take it in doses because it's very existential. I mean, that's what philosophy kind of is. It's like questioning the nature of being, and it's like it's something I've always thought.
Yeah.
And ever since I was a little kid, I would always ask questions like, Mom, like why is this the way this is? And like, it would frustrate them. And it frustrates me because there is no fucking answer to a lot of it. That's the problem. It's like, is there free will? It's like, well, you can't demonstrate its presence anywhere. Yeah. But then it's like, why does everything feel like we have free will then? Like, here's another, I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you with this question.
Send it.
Okay. There is no place where you can, I mean, do you agree on the free will thing? Like there is no uncaused cause, like everything's sort of deterministic, and even like your thoughts, you don't even think your own thoughts.
Yeah. I think that when you said you raise your right hand, I think that that thought was made before you were conscious of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, maybe there's like a subconscious component making the decision that's separate from the version of me that's experiencing the decision.
Yeah.
Maybe that's true, but I guess I forgot what my thing was. I forgot what I was going to say about it.
Does that have to do with free will?
I don't even remember. Well, yeah, I don't even remember what I was going to say about it.
Well, so my ex-wife, or soon to be ex-wife, she doesn't believe in objective reality. Like straight up stated, like everything is subjective, which I don't agree with. There is such thing as an objective reality, right? There's your reality, my reality, but then there's the reality that's happening independent of us.
Yep.
You know, like I always say, like you're in a boat going down a river and there's rocks in the water. Like your experience on the boat is real, but the rocks in the water are the objective reality. And whether you believe the rocks are there or not, they'll sink your boat, regardless of, you know, you think they're real or not. So I think everybody is a philosopher to some degree. You definitely have thought about it more than most people. And I think there's just some questions that are just not solvable. Solipsism is one of them. Free will, it's one of them. I mean,
actually, I just remembered.
Okay.
Because the thing is, for me, it's like, it feels like the jury's out, and it becomes like a semantic thing. It's like, people just start quibbling about the definition of free will. But like, I could have done otherwise is kind of my perception. Like I actually have choice, black or white, vanilla or chocolate.
Yeah.
But everybody believes, even if you're really smart or if you're really stupid, everything sort of feels like you're a conscious agent confronting a landscape of potential, making decisions, and you could have done otherwise. my experience, if I'm not thinking about free will, my whole day-to-day life feels like that. If someone accidentally runs into my car, it feels like it was free will. If this person does this. But why? Like, what is the biological evolutionary purpose of feeling like we have agency? And you could say, well, it allows you to correctly respond, but it's like, why though? We could just be like robotic. We could just be going through life and like, hello, how are you? And like the idea that we have agency would never occur to us or matter. But it's an emergent property of consciousness, whether that's just because we have enough neurons firing, we become sentient. Well, we can say, okay, well, we can observe that there is no free will, but then why does it feel like we have it? What is the actual evolutionary purpose of it? And that's something I haven't really figured out, because we could just easily not have it, you know?
Well, most animals, I would say, are not conscious in the way that we are, you know, like a squirrel.
Did I lose you?
No, you there? You there? Oh, no. Let's see. Give it a second. Come on. Hello.
There you go.
There you are. Okay. What I was saying was, like, I think most animals are not conscious the way that we are. So the question of consciousness, where did it come from? It's a fucking question, as far as I know, no one knows the answer to. But the evolutionary purpose of it seems to be a cooperation ability. Like, we are able to cooperate because we're social animals. That's our drive of ours, is why we've been so successful. Is like, we can understand the idea that you have information that I do not, which is that's like the key thing that distinguishes us between pretty much every other animal. The theory of mind, or I, that all humans develop, some to a lesser degree, around the age of 5. That it led to us being able to cooperate with each other. You know, and this is how we developed our own language and things like this. So the benefit of it is huge. Why it happened?
But you can cooperate without inserting the concept of agency, right? Like, for example, like you can have, like, children can cooperate, but my daughter, to think that she has free will in the way that I do, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not even really sentient. She's two, you know? So,
yeah.
How
I thought you were going to go with because she was a female, but no, but, yeah, like,
that's,
but, that's true. That as we get older, our brain fully forms and we're able to function consciously much more efficiently. But I just think the evolutionary need for it, or not even need, because I don't think evolution is operating in that term. Do you accept evolution? You know, the body of evolution?
I think so. I mean,
okay.
I think there's a couple of different theories on how it happened, but I think the scientific consensus is we've evolved for hundreds of thousands or millions of years as humans from different hominids, and who knows how it happened. There was some sort of genetic mutation and they mated and created this thing. Yeah, I think I accept evolution.
Well, I mean, the benefits of consciousness are it's probably the number one thing that has set us apart evolutionarily from pretty much every other species on this planet anyway. So, but the agency, I think that maybe you're onto something when you say it's just like a second order effect of being conscious.
Right.
But like that thing that developed, that we recognize that you have information that I don't. Like, they taught a gorilla sign language, right? And that gorilla never once asked a question, because in its mind, it cannot fathom that you would have information it does not have.
Right.
You know, this is kind of how we kind of know these things. But what humans do, like, I understand, like, look at the progress we've made. Like, I tried to explain this to my ex-wife. She was like, because she thinks there is no such thing, that this is all just information coming from, she got really into crystals and spiritualism and stuff, but she thinks this is coming from your self that's outside of the universe or whatever. But think of how long would it take you if you just went into the desert? How long before you send me an email? You know, like, no, that takes the collective minds of all of our species to get to where we are, you know,
right.
Standing on the shoulders of giants or whatever.
Are you familiar with the bicameral mind theory?
No.
You got to look it up. I just learned about it. It's really interesting. I'll end with this, but
okay.
It's basically this guy, I forget his name, Jaynes, Jaynes, something like that. So basically, like, our brains are divided into two hemispheres. One is more like logical, one's more like creative.
Sure.
And if you look at the way that we used to describe like dreams in the past, it was a lot more like direct and like narrative. Like an angel came to me and told me to do this thing, and then I went and did this thing. And now like my dreams are like, I was a donkey, and then I was also a waterfall, like these weird, like abstract, like kind of meaningless, fucked up things. And I think it's he basically says that not long ago, like he thinks that humans became conscious in the way that we currently are, like less than 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So like, even if you read like prehistoric writing, or like even old books like the Iliad, he talks about the Iliad. It says like, the gods of hunger came over me and told me to go eat, versus like I was hungry and I went and ate something. He thinks that there was like an inner, there was like the conscious agent, and then there was like the monologue instructing you to do things. So like right now we hear like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to go, like everything's sort of one thing. Like I am me, I am hungry, I'm going to go eat. He thinks that they like heard voices and they took instructions. Like, you are hungry, go eat. And you're like, yes. And you like obeyed it. And that's where he basically thinks like the Christian Bible is during the time where our modern form of consciousness started and evolved. And that's sort of like a manifestation of that. I think that's an interesting idea. I don't know.
They literally view their mind as another thing,
Or like they didn't consider it. Like they just hear, you are hungry, you must go eat. And they go, oh, okay. Like that sort of thing. Like you're sort of divided, you're separate from your other half in a way.
Yeah, there's something called the transductor theory, where they think that your thoughts. Oh, you froze. Damn, this internet connection. Is it mine? Let's see. Oh,
okay,
there you are. Okay, we're back.
It might be my internet,
dude. We'll have to do another podcast. We can go down the philosophy rabbit hole. Because I think it is a productive conversation to have, because it's kind of just why we do what we do, why we care about the things we care, which translates into our society, right?
I like having like right-wing conversations with people that are like, they're not just, because the thing is with like Nick Fuentes, the reason why I'm not like I think he's like a political genius, I would say, but we disagree on the fundamentals, because he's a Catholic nationalist.
Yes.
That's his primary foundational of his belief system. And it's like, I'm not. So that creates a divide there. So I like talking to people like you. And like I mentioned, Richard, I think, you've seen those charts where it's like the left and how many things they agree on versus the right, and it's fucking like all over. That's why I love it. It's so open. So I'm super happy to do this again, man. I had a great time talking to you, man.
Yeah, dude, definitely. I think it was super productive. I know the guys are probably gonna be losing their shit in the group chat when they send this out. You should have asked them this, but if we do it again, dude, I'll definitely have a more series of questions that these guys want me to ask.
Yeah, for sure.
I just wanted to know who you are, like what you think, I think that's super beneficial, because dude, I think your voice, people like you, I think it's super valuable right now, driving the conversations, especially for young men, which I think is who moves society personally. Yeah, dude. Okay. Well,
very true.
Fuck. Yeah. Episode 58, dude. One Way Out podcast. Stop eating cookies, run up some hills, shoot some guns, do something productive. Let's just play video games today, guys. All right, dude.